You floored us today with some big stories. You've got Gary Ablett, you've also got Israel Folau, but the one that really is astounding me is you reckon that the Dockers might be a good side.
No, come on. Is Mark Harvey ready to re-sign
This
yet?
is not a revelation, Jared.
Oh.
I mean, you've been on them since they came into the competition. I need a bit more persuasion, but the last 6 weeks...
We've got another one with a rising star later, Hurdy. We'll get that.
Hurdy and I both believe... A lot of people are sceptical about the ladder, aren't they? About there's Fremantle sitting in second spot. What are they doing there? I'm prepared to say that they deserve second spot, and they are the second best team in the comp.
If they're not the second best team, they're very close to it. They are, at the moment, their biggest challenge is to Geelong.
They've got some depth, and you may have picked up on this in the commentary yesterday, but I reckon Kepler Bradley's having a reasonably good patch.
You've given David Mundy away, have you? And you've
adopted
Kepler Bradley. No, look, I take your point. I mean, I like that this bloke has been whipped by supporters of two clubs over a long period. Your footy club?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Maybe the support. So one thing about Kepler, he always knew how to find the ball. There's no doubt he could always find the ball and compete exactly. One thing that he let himself down on was his kicking. I never saw him kick a goal at that at Essendon, but look, he was a player who you enjoyed playing footy with because he could compete. He would kick the ball away a bit, but he's getting that right now.
I reckon there'd be a bloke up in Western Sydney right now, Hurdy, looking at it and saying, I told you so. Kevin Sheedy invested a lot of faith in him. Look at this. Just to put it into some perspective, Champion Data have a assessment tool, their Champion Data points, and this is a really significant game. I mean, Michael Barlow has been a star for them this year. That's the 5th best return in Champion Data points of anybody playing for Freo this year.
Yeah, fantastic. And Kepler works very hard in his game and a true professional, so it's a good reward for him to get that sort of game.
He was a top 10 draft choice at Essendon.
Yeah.
Did you ever see anything in him that made you believe that he was worth a top 10 choice?
I did, because he always got the ball. Like, he always could find the ball. As I said, his disposal wasn't what it needed to be. He didn't dispose of the ball properly. But it's something that something you can work on, and he's starting to work on that and get better in that area. But there's definitely times where he was, getting 25, 30 possessions quite regularly in the reserves and looked like being a very good player.
Jared, is Aaron Sandilands on a bit of a downer, or are they just choosing to sort of ease the workload a bit?
I don't think they're easing it. I think he's having a long time on the ground, Mike, and I think they may have to look at perhaps giving him a rest. I'm not sure how. We've got the bye coming up, but if you have a look at the time he spends on the ground, he's well and truly in first position, 9% more than Todd Goldstein. And if you put it into perspective, they will challenge Geelong at some stage in the final months of the year. Mark Blake is only running at 58%. Do they take another week out of the season, Hurdy, and give him a dual rest? Because
I think
he's one player they
I think
can't
they should
lose.
do something like that. I think that they'll get into the break and then look at these next, 10 weeks, however long, and maybe it's a break or maybe it's less time in games. But if he's playing 90% for 22 weeks and then expect to come up in finals, that's a massive task for any player.
He's a long way off the form he showed in the first half against Collingwood.
I think his last month's been his worst month.
Yeah.
But he's playing a lot of footy. I mean, you can go up and down in a season. He'll get that back, and the halves will be make sure that he gets his routine worked out.
I reckon Hamish McIntosh is one of the few that broke even with his man last day. I mean, we're judging Aaron pretty harshly. He's still been playing fantastic footy, but Hamish McIntosh, I reckon, could hold his head high, but not many of the North boys could. I know their coach apologised to their members yesterday, but their lack of pressure was the worst I've seen this year.
And the worst thing about that was it was for the second week in a row.
Yeah, I think the one thing that every team hopes is to compete. And at certain times in this game, North just didn't compete in terms of contested possession and tackling. You can make mistakes, but if you're not up, you're not competing, that's when the coach and the supporters get upset.
We know there was a rule introduction at the start about the fake, and yet it seems to have just gone by the by. Have a look at this one from young Ballantyne. Now, it was looked at by the match committee, the match review panel. That was let off, and I suspect...
What did they say, Jared? There was no staging there?
I haven't actually read it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they said, silly rule, we'll send that one back to review.
I fell in for that. I was really positive about that rule when it was introduced. Yeah.
It's a silly rule.
I thought that'll stop all that nonsense.
Mike,